year. That's a lot of hard work, a lot of miles, a lot of Southwest trips, but I'll tell you what, when it's all said and done, it's worth it, and we got some great kids coming in. So excited about this class. This class consists so far in the early signing of 15 players, and I'll leave 10 scholarships for us to go ahead and fill out in the February signing date, so that's exciting. There's still some work to be done, but this class right now, the guys we'll bring in, we're excited about the way they'll bolster our roster and make us better. 8 defensive players right now, 7 offensive guys, 6 will come from the JUCO levels that'll be immediate enrollees here for the spring, and 9 high school kids. So overall right now, the high school and the community college kids coming in together, there's 11 to maybe 12 kids that'll be early enrollees, so that's exciting to have that many bodies here right now so we can get them trained up in the spring. As I go through it, I'm going to go through each kid, talk about them a little bit, and then at the end I'll go ahead and take some questions. So first one, local kid, Kyle Beaudry. Really good player out of Liberty High School. He's a physical kid, plugger. He's done a really good job. You see the evolution of that football program on the other side of town. Coach Morocco's done a tremendous job of building those guys up. They know how to win. They've played a lot of competitive games. Kyle's a guy we've been on for a long time, and it's a competitive battle. We're glad we got him to stay at home. So excited about Kyle. Leaf Fontenot comes out of Honolulu, Hawaii. So he's out of University Lab. He's a guy that we saw in the summertime. Got a chance to watch him move around and work out a little bit. He's a big, strong, powerful guy. We really believe that, he's going to have a great future here. The offensive line's a group that we've worked hard to put together over a number of years. So he'll come in, he'll add some depth. We'll get him trained up and have a big future here. Austin Fitzsal, another local guy at Liberty High School, played safety, 3-year starter for them. He's done a tremendous job, again, just like Kyle, helping them build that program. He's a guy that we offered a long time ago, had to hold on for him for over a year and a half. So glad that he stayed true the entire time. And, he's a guy that'll be another early enrollee along with Kyle. And he'll come in and immediately with our guys. Outside of him, we got Stevie Jenkins out of Narbonne High School. First time we've gotten one of those guys from out of there since I've been here, and they do a great job there developing players. They send players all over the country, so it's great kind of getting our hooks into that school. Stevie's an interesting guy. He's a guy that we saw at the SC summer camp, and one of the things that we immediately saw of him was his competitiveness. I mean, he's a guy who was cutting into the front of the line all the time, just working hard, making plays. He was energetic, and as myself and Coach Cormier and the rest of the staff talked about him a lot, we immediately were drawn to him and his competitiveness. So we're excited about him coming out and pushing that receiving group. Travis Mumphrey out of Louisiana, John Ehret High School, a lot of history and tradition. He's a quarterback, dual threat guy, does a tremendous job stressing defenses out, picking up yards with his feet, but he's got a live arm and does a really good job there. And again, he was part of a program that got turned around. Their coach did a tremendous job this year, leading them deep into the playoffs, and they were one game away from going to a state championship. Those guys did a tremendous job there. So he'll be another early enrollee, and anytime you can get quarterbacks in early to get them trained up, that's a big deal. After that, we got Courtney Reese, and Courtney, I'm not going to compare him because Lexington, you can't compare guys at Lexington, but Courtney's kind of like that. When you look at a 5'8/5'9" guy, is a legitimate 4'3" guy, great change of direction, acceleration, comes out of Miami, out of Southridge High School. He's a guy that when we looked at him, that was going to be a piece that was a little bit missing. We got some really good backs coming back, but to have that guy who can chew up space and and put stress on defense again in those areas is a big deal. So excited about him coming in. Seth Robinson, defensive lineman out of Saguaro High School in Scottsdale, Arizona. He's another early enrollee. Big, strong guy, got a great first step, plays really well with his hands, physical guy. He'll play the buck position, is kind of a hybrid linebacker, defensive end type guy for us. So we're excited about Seth coming in. And then Malik Wesley, he's a guy that grew up in Vegas, went to Liberty High School for a couple of years, moved away to Columbia, South Carolina, Spring Valley High School, got a chance to go there. Anybody that knows Spring Valley knows about all the history and success they've had. Multiple guys, have played in Super Bowls, guys have played in the NFL, guys playing all over the country. So he had an opportunity to live here in Vegas, play at a great high school, Liberty, then to go out there and, get trained up by a really good group of guys. So excited about bringing him home, and I know he's fired up to be a Rebel. After that, you got Jacoby Wyndham, linebacker. He's Travis Mumphrey's teammate out of John Ehret High School, another early enrollee. And to me, he was really intriguing. He was a guy that we watched a lot of film on. Coach Skip knew him, had recruited him in the past, and we just kept our eye on him, and we got a chance to go actually watch him play. And I tell you what, he is a raw talent. He's big, he's strong, he runs well. There was a game later in the year where Travis actually went down and was cramped up, so he had to go in and play quarterback, and he threw the winning touchdown and then got a sack on the next series. So that's pretty exciting deal. So excited to have him coming on in. And that's the high school group. Now we move on to the junior college guys. We got Alil Elamare, defensive lineman, originally from Houston, Texas, played at Cabrillo College right outside of Santa Cruz, California. He's a big barrel-chested guy, great pass rusher, really did a good job developing as a run stopper this year, and I know Coach Sham was excited to get his hands on him, work on his tools, refine those things, and he'll come in and add immediate depth and playing time, in that position. Aaron Lewis, defensive back out of Rancho Cucamonga, Chaffee College. We need some help in the secondary, and he's a guy that we felt could come on in, compete, add some depth to that group, push that group, got some good guys returning, need to add some talent in that, and he'll do just that. So love his attitude, he's a great player. Offensive line-wise, these next two guys, the only one we lost on the offensive line was Nathan Jacobson. We returned 16 of the 17 offensive linemen, so that's a group that didn't need a ton of guys there, but we needed some guys to come on in to help us out. One of the things we've done is we've redshirted a lot of guys, so we're pretty loaded when it comes to freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, so went with one younger guy and two older guys. The first one is going to be Jackson McCullough. Jackson's a big old kid. He's every bit of 6'6", 315 pounds. He's got good feet. He actually started his career originally in the Mountain West and then went to Humboldt State, and they folded the program, so he was able to transfer in, and he'll be a guy that will be a big competitive piece right away in spring. And Ryan Tannum, offensive lineman out of Sierra College, originally from Auburn, California. He's another big guy, 6'4", 300 some odd pounds, got good feet. Those two coming in and adding to the offensive line we think it gives us an opportunity coming out of spring to be really good and really competitive, and maybe the best offensive line we've had since we've been here. So we're going to need to do that. And then Tavai Tuatasi, he was the big get, competitive battle for him, defensive end out of San Francisco City College. Again, another program. It's great to get somebody out of there, always producing a lot of players. So we fought hard, and that was a great battle to win. Excited to see him sign today. Again, losing both your starting defensive ends, we needed to bring some older guys to come on in to push these younger guys that'll show that they'll be ready in the spring. But he's a guy that we expect a lot of things from, and I know he's excited to be here. And then last but not least, you have Vic Viramontes. That was an unbelievable battle getting him. He's a guy we've recruited over a number of years. Actually, originally offered him as a quarterback, and he went on to play quarterback and ended up going back to Riverside and becoming a linebacker, and he had offers from multiple schools around the country, and I know he even went to the wee hours of the night, people trying to get him to change his mind. So really appreciate, as he's named himself, Vegas Vic, sticking with us. And we're excited about him. He's going to bring a lot of swagger, a lot of athleticism to a really good group of guys. And the exciting thing about this is, there was no real surprises today. We got the 15 guys we thought we were going to sign. They all stayed with us, stayed in the boat. We have 10 more to give, so we're excited about that. We've got a good group of guys we've got our hooks into. We're working right now. So I think when it's all said and done, you're going to see one heck of a class coming in and adding to a very deep team coming back. So again, you return 19 of the 22 on offense, 16 of the 22 on defense. You add a group of 25 to it. Ought to give us a chance to be pretty good. So excited about it, and open to any questions.
Can you talk about the impact that Vic's going to have, not just on the field, but off the field with recruiting?
Yeah, Vic, and you saw it throughout the recruiting process. He did a really good job of, once he decided he wanted to be a Rebel, just trying to make sure everybody else that was considered and give it a hard look. And when you look at a guy that's turned down SEC, Pac-12, a bunch of schools like that, and found the right fit for him, it's a good message to guys. Those are always tough battles to win. So, I think him coming here, and he'll have success here, and we're excited about him adding to our team. And again, that he's adding to a good group of guys, and he's excited. The thing I like the most about him is, he's not about a me guy. He can't wait to come in and just be a great teammate. He talked about that a bunch, and I think you'll see that right away, and it'll have a great reflection on what we're trying to build here and what we're going to do here.
Is the door open at all for Vic to play quarterback?
No, it's not. He's here to play linebacker completely. Armani Rogers is our quarterback. You saw what he's capable of. You look at last year, and when he's a starter, we're 3-2, and one of those losses is a tie game in the fourth quarter at SC, and the other one's a 7-point loss on the road to Arkansas State. So pretty dynamic guy. But you know what, Vic could be the quarterback of our defense.
Tony, it looked like you kind of hit every area of the team in the early signing. Was that the plan, and also going forward, are you concentrating in particular areas, or is it the same general approach?
There's some areas this was a little bit more targeted specifically because we have more depth. There's some areas we want to hit. We want to continue to add guys to the secondary. We're going to add some guys up front. for the most part, you don't ever want to stick your, put your foot in stone, but I think we're done at the linebacker spot. You never know, you could add one if you find a great guy there. We'll add one to the receiving corps most likely, and may bring in a tight end. So there's some areas of flux there. There's a couple we're going to keep in our back pocket. We may use now, we may use later. There's some high school kids out there we're recruiting, some junior college kids, and there's also some fifth-year senior transfers out there. So we wanted to make sure we were strategic in how we use those.
The immediate help you're going to get in coming mid-year, especially on the defensive side, how important is that?
It's really important. I mean, you saw last year, some of the areas we got to improve in. We knew we needed to, add some real competitive depth, especially in the secondary. And there's a lot of guys last year that I thought progressed and were getting better, and their season were just cut short by injury. You had guys like Luka Bark that didn't even play a snap because of injury, so we never got to see what he could do. He'll be back. Phillip Hill's another guy we never really got to see develop. He had that foot injury, didn't play last year. And then towards the end of the year, when you did have some injuries, you got guys like Greg Francis who finally started to get a shot, tore his shoulder. He was out the rest of the year. So you're going to get a bunch of guys back that are healthy, that are really good players, and we're going to add some depth to that spot. Lost a corner in Khalili, going to bring a guy in, and possibly a second guy with a good group of guys coming back. Plummer will be better than he was last year, just having a year of Division I experience under his belt. Jericho Flowers has been a steady Eddie and a really good player for us. You saw him get hurt, missed about 2 games, in the middle of the season. It kind of hurt us when we were low on depth, but he's a really good player. So we've got some good guys coming back, and the great thing about it all is that the guys coming back, they've got a tremendous amount of experience under the belt. One of the things you saw, 2-3 years ago was we played a lot of guys that just weren't ready. Now you're going to have guys that are going to be predominantly juniors and senior starters. They'll have redshirted, they'll have a ton of experience behind them. Again, we're adding competitive depth. Right now, it looks like we're going to be anywhere from the 85 to the 83 scholarship number. We haven't even been in 80 in the last 3 years. So again, just adding those numbers back to the depth is going to make us a better football team. And one of the areas you're really going to see this show up is on special teams.
You mentioned before the importance of actually having a building to walk the recruits to. Do you think that really impacted this class?
It did. I mean, one of the biggest things was watching their reactions as they walked through the facility. I mean, it's different when you're showing them pictures, and then this year you're showing them the Raider Stadium and they can physically see the construction of it going up, and that's a reality now. Then you come over here, and the biggest reality is when they walk into the Fertitta football complex. They got hard hats on, and we're walking through what's going to be the equipment room and the locker room and the barber shop, and you're walking through the weight room, the sports medicine room, and the academic center. You're walking through the dining hall, and that's a big deal. I mean, they're walking through, they're seeing the size and the scope of those spaces. Those eyes get big, and now you don't got to worry about being beat on things like that.
Coach, you went after a bunch of local kids and were able to win battles. How important is that?
It's always important. I mean, we know with the growth of Las Vegas and the success that football's starting to have in this city, we're going to have to continue to go out there and do our due diligence. And I think that's one of the biggest things about having the new stadium and having the facilities. It's not just attracting other people, it's getting your local kids to say, hey, you know what? You need to stay home. We've finally invested in UNLV football. I think the hardest thing sometimes is winning your own battles at home, because they know the stresses, they know the lack of investment, they know the things that have gone on in the past, and sometimes they hear a little bit of the negativity at times. On the outside, you don't deal with a lot of that stuff, but here in Las Vegas, dealing with our local homegrown kids, it's important for them to see that, hey, we're not just talking about investing in UNLV football, we're actually doing it. So when those things are done this spring, and you start having junior days and they're actually in that facility that's completely done, the stadium's even more close to being finished, I think it's going to have a great impact for years to come.
How big is Vic to what do you want to do now and also into the future?
Well, it's big. I mean, you always want to be able to recruit at a high level, and you're not always going to win those battles. A bunch of years back, you talked about, Armani Rogers and the impact that I still believe he's going to have on this program. We've seen glimpses of it, and we keep him healthy. I think it's going to be a special opportunity for him and for us. That was a big battle to win. You fast forward to this year, and at first, you just kind of reintroduce yourself to Vic for the third time, and he becomes comfortable with it, and you know who you're going up against, so you're really not supposed to have a chance to win that battle, but you fall back on relationships, you fall back on conversations over the years, and you just got to be real in that process, and and hope that they recognize that this truly is a great opportunity for them to excel. I'm in an area that's very close to their home, and in a place that's building and is going to be great, and he has a chance to come in on the front step and be a huge part of us moving forward, and I think he saw that, saw value in it.
All right, we'll see everybody
I
February 5th.
appreciate it. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you.